come to the rink and try and win championships, and that's what it's all about. When you look from the outside and you watch this team, I know we're going to have a real good, solid hockey team this year.
Welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Eric Wilson, and today we have some very exciting breaking news to talk about. I'm going solo today as my co-host Anthony is currently on an airplane, but I just could not wait to talk about this because this is finally the conclusion of everything we've been talking about this offseason. Who is going to be the second line center for the New York Rangers? And it turns out just a little under an hour into free agency, the Rangers signed center Vincent Troccheck. The Rangers signed him on a 7-year deal worth $5.625 million per year. And, as we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, this is exactly what we wanted. We wanted a center who was good enough to be on our second line, but wouldn't be too expensive. We speculated around $5 to $5.5 million per year, but 5.625 is just perfect. The only thing that's a little scary with this contract is the fact that it is 7 years long. Trocheck is currently 29 years old, meaning that if he plays throughout the entirety of this contract, by the time it expires, he'll be 36 years old. But, that's honestly not too much to worry about. We have a nice solid 5 years with him, and then the last 2 years of his contract, we kind of just got to hope for the best. But I definitely think it's a great signing. We never made a specific video about him, but we have mentioned him as a potential option for the Rangers in a couple of videos, and I couldn't be more than happy. So throughout the last season, the 2021-2022 season, Trocheck played in 81 games, put up 21 goals, 30 assists for 51 points. And throughout his entire career, he's played through 555 games, has put up 150 goals, 228 assists for 378 points. And now you may be thinking, those stats are relatively similar to those of Ryan Strome throughout the past few years. And you know how much I hate Ryan Strome. Luckily, this kind of means that he's gone. And keep in mind, Vincent Trocheck was putting up these numbers without playing with elite superstar Temi Panarin. Ryan Strome was putting up similar numbers with him, and Trocheck was doing it without him. So now you put Trocheck on the second line with Artemi Panarin, and you're looking at a guy who's going to be putting up 70 to 80 points for the next couple of seasons, which is very exciting to see. After this signing, our top six is going to be very strong. I think we definitely upgraded from last season, so hopefully we'll be able to elevate us to go even farther in the playoffs. And, the top six isn't set in stone right now. Some people still need to be signed. Players might be moved around. But my projected top six would be looking like the first line of Chris Kreider, Mika Zibanejad at center, and then Lafreniere on the first line, right wing, which would then make the second line left wing Artemi Panarin, Vincent Trocheck at the center, and then move Kakko up to the second line. And this signing means everything, not only just for the center position, but for the rest of our team and their development. Kakko has been playing down on the third line throughout most of his career, and he hasn't really been able to develop that well into a top six player because we haven't had the space for him. But now, with Vetrano most likely gone, Strome most likely gone, and Kopp, who is already gone, Kakko can slide right into that second line position, play with superstars like Panarin and Trocheck, and that'll help him elevate into hopefully a 40, 50-point scorer throughout the next couple of seasons. Now, the number one thing that I like about Vincent Trocheck is the fact that he can win faceoffs. We've had centers on the team for the past couple of years, and they just haven't been doing good on faceoffs. That's always been one of our number one poor stats on the team, that we have these centers who are good and can put up points, but they just don't win the faceoffs for us. So we never have that offensive possession as much as we would like. Now in the 2022 season, Vincent Trocheck won 54.6% of faceoffs, and throughout his career, he's won 52.1% of faceoffs. So he wins more faceoffs than he loses, which is awesome. If we're in the offensive zone and have a faceoff, there's more than likely Vincent Trocheck is going to win that back to our defenseman and instantly help set up Panarin himself and most likely Kakko right there in the offensive zone, which is a very large help. That is a very underappreciated stat. If you want to win and you want to score goals, you need to have that offensive possession, and that all starts with the faceoff. That's definitely something to look forward to. Now, $5.625 million per year. It's a lot. It's more than we would have wanted to sign him for, but I'm not complaining, because our other option that we had was to re-sign Andrew Kopp. But he recently just signed, just a little under an hour ago, pretty much the same exact contract with the Detroit Red Wings. He signed a $5.625 million contract with Detroit, but for only 5 years. And in my opinion, Trocheck is definitely a lot better player than Kopp. He plays greater defensively. He has those face-off wins, as I previously mentioned. And he just brings more overall to the team. He'd be a great center on the second line power play. So I think this is definitely a win for the Rangers. People say and complain that we signed him for too long, 7 years, overpay, but I don't think so. If it came down between Trocheck, Ryan Strome, or Andrew Kopp, I think Chris Drury definitely made the right choice in letting Kopp walk, letting Strome walk, and then signing this guy just for maybe just an extra year or two longer than we should have. Definitely worth it, and definitely a smart move by Chris Drury. Now, as we know, as we've been talking about, the Rangers are a little cap strapped this offseason. Going into free agency, we had around $9.4 million to work with. Then after this signing, 5.65, it brought us down a little more. And then just literally a couple minutes after I started recording this, it was announced that the Rangers signed backup goaltender Yaroslav Halak, who we previously discussed in a previous episode, if you would like to go back on that. But probably tomorrow or the next day, we will be discussing that signing of Halak as well. But we signed Halak for a one-year deal worth $1.55 million, which leaves us with around $3 million left to sign the rest of our free agents. Now, for the rest of the roster, there's a couple options we have, because we're missing a fourth-line center and a potential third-line winger. Now, we have some young guys like Brendan Othman who can just call up and play, but he might be a little too young. So we have around $3 million to lock in that 4C and find someone to play on that third-line wing. But I honestly don't think that's much of a concern. Like I said, we have those players that we can call up, and I think we've already addressed our biggest issue of the offseason, as we've been saying, was the second-line center. We discussed names like JT Miller, Evgeny Malkin, Mark Scheifele, Pierre-Luc Dubois. We definitely went with the right option here. Evgeny Malkin has already re-signed with the Penguins, because I guess that's the moral of the story here. If you cry enough, you get whatever you want in the NHL. JT Miller would have been too much of a risk at 1 year, and then having to re-sign him for a huge contract and most likely lose him. Pierre-Luc Dubois would have been way too expensive. I think Trocheck was definitely just the smartest move all around. He's a younger player who puts up great stats, who wanted to come to the Rangers, and honestly probably took a pay cut to come play with us. I mean, I've saw speculations that Vincent Troccheck was going to make up to like $6 to $6.5 million per year, but we signed him for 5.6. So he definitely took a little less money to come play for a team that he knows has the potential to win the Stanley Cup. Now the question is Vinny Trocheck on the second line center the piece that we need to elevate us to win a Stanley Cup? And it's a tough question to answer, but I honestly think it might be. You know, if we made it within 2 games of the Stanley Cup Finals last season with Ryan Strome as our second line center, there's no reason to believe that having an improvement of Vinny Trocheck as your second line center, that we wouldn't make it to the finals and maybe even win. You know, we've been improving a lot this offseason. We've re-signed a couple guys. We've been clearing cap space. We're moving our younger guys up to the second and first lines where they can have a proper top 6 role and fully develop. So I think maybe next season, the next season after, we're definitely have improved and are going to go much farther in the playoffs. So I would say overall, this was definitely a great move by Chris Drury, signing Vincent Trocheck as our second line center. We've been talking about this for a very long time, and I couldn't be more satisfied with the way that it went. You know, like I said, he's been putting up 50 points per season roughly, and only playing with Artemi Panarin will only improve those stats greater and higher than Ryan Strome. Ryan Strome's future is still up in the air right now. We don't have the cap really to re-sign him. So unless some like weird, horrible miracle happens, it's safe to say that he's gone. It's a big victory day for Rangers fans. Go out and celebrate. But that pretty much wraps up this discussion. The Rangers have found their second line center for the next 7 years. So remember, drop a like, leave a comment, let us know your thoughts on this signing. Do you think it was a good signing, bad signing, too long, too expensive, the right amount of years, the right price? Let us know. We're very interested to hear your thoughts. So once again, have a great day, Rangers fans. This is a great day to be a fan of the New York Rangers. And yeah, let's go Rangers. And boo Ryan Strome. We win.
He shoots. He scores. Rangers.